Y'all know what it is? It's the morning after. We got to do this every single week, even though we had a bye week. But we got to talk about how all these games this past weekend, which hopefully y'all was tuned in on Saturday like me, man. I was locked to the screen, may have altered the season for the Oklahoma Sooners. And we'll explain what that means and what your boy's thinking because, yeah, there's some stuff that may have been readjusted because of this. So let's dive into that. Before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. This video is powered by our partners over at BetUS. Go ahead and check them out. They're hooking up the gamer, 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 by using their promo code YouTube150. All right. Man. We had what was that? 3 massive upsets in conference. Like the SEC just saw everything about the SEC that we've been told, right? The SEC's a grind. SEC's tough. I'm wondering if some of these coaches will even let know that the SEC is just hard, right? Like, I'll put it this way. If you're a Sooner fan, you're watching this channel, you're probably a Sooner fan or SEC fan, which we appreciate y'all pulling up on a regular. But everybody kept reminding me in my comments that the SEC's a grind, SEC's tough, blah, blah, blah. Cool. People act like Oklahoma wasn't ready, right? Oklahoma went on the road, won against Auburn, fought tooth and nail with Tennessee. Should have been better if we, had a better situation. And I'll explain that a little bit later. But, man, we saw upsets that I didn't think we'd ever see, especially with new coaches. So let's jump into the first game, which we've got to go ahead and talk about the headliner. I'm going to talk about the headliner first. We're going to talk about Bama, Vanderbilt. Then we're going to jump right into Tennessee, Arkansas, down the line to Missouri, Texas A&M, and then we'll close out with the last 3 that, I don't know how much they really mean, but I think it does change a lot for the Sooners going forward. Let's do that. But before that, word from the sponsor. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this video. They are hooking up the gamer. 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 by using the promo code YouTube150. So, it's football season. We had a crazy weekend, so hopefully y'all jumped on some of those surprises that happened. But, of course, NFL games are always available here. You got your Heisman Trophy odds here for college football championship futures. You got all that, plus NFL different futures. BetUS gives you everything, and they are taking care of you all. By sponsoring this video, they're hooking up the gamer, 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000, and they'll give you 125% bonus on your second and third deposits by using the promo code YouTube150. That lets them know that we sent you. Check them out. BetUS, where the game begins. Bama goes down, y'all. Like, that is just the wildest thing to me, right? And hopefully, you took advantage of some of these games. If you thought about it, BetUS hooking y'all up. But this is crazy. Vanderbilt pulls up the upset at the crib in the stadium that's being constructed, winning 40-35. So I was watching this game. This was the game I was tuned in on. And, man, I'm not going to lie. Vanderbilt was muscling Alabama that entire game, right? They were pushing them around. Diego Pavia was cooking. Jalen Milroe even had himself a good game overall, right? 18 for 24, 310 and a touchdown. But the crazy part is Bama just could not run the ball, right? Like, it was not what I would expect. It just, talking to my boy Ty over around the table, you go check them out. They went live afterwards, and you can tell that they felt defeated. They sounded defeated. They didn't sound like a Bama loss that was like, oh man, we just lost the game. We got to do better. No, they sound like, what is going on with this team? Does it feel like they was practicing? They had 84 yards rushing against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt had 116 yards. That doesn't sound like a game that Bama and Vanderbilt will play, right? Crazy stat that was populated on the Bird app. Vanderbilt scored a total of 13 points against Nick Saban in their 4 meetings. They had 13 points in the first quarter against this Bama squad. And honest to God, the talent has not fallen down at Bama. They've got the talent. They still got a very high blue chip ratio, and their team's really good. We saw that last week against Georgia. But at the same time, when I did the Bleacher Report show, I didn't get to post it on this channel. My apologies. I'll try to get back to posting that on a regular basis, so y'all can watch the full video if y'all missed it on the app. But check it out, Bleacher Report app. We're there every Friday at 11 a.m. I said Vanderbilt's most likely going to cover this spread, that this is a perfect opportunity for Alabama to fall. This was the perfect game for them. And it ended up being that way. I mean, I hate to say it, but it wasn't that I didn't think Bama was going to lose, but I did think that Bama was not going to have their A game in this one. Vanderbilt has been playing everybody tough, and I'm still sad that Vanderbilt lost in overtime to Missouri. They should have pulled that out, but shoot, they knocked off the number one team. First time, I think, ever in program history. Like, they did work. And so because of that, this could have altered what's going on for Oklahoma going on this season, right? We still got to play Alabama. We still got to play Missouri. We still got to play Ole Miss, right? Like, we got Texas this week, which now Texas is the number one team in the country because they're the only undefeated team in the SEC now. But it also means that Oklahoma is square in the middle of competing going forward. I mean, we've got Texas this weekend. We pull that upset, which a lot of us, we know how the Red River goes. Look, there's a very good chance that Oklahoma could finish the season out very well in the SEC. Let's put it this way. And somebody, I think it was Gabe, had said that he felt like there's going to be the SEC champion will have 2 losses just because of the way the season's going to go. But we had a bunch of teams fall in the top 10 and top 25 in general. But that Bama loss just sent shockwaves, because then you follow that up. I mean, that wasn't the first loss. The first one was, I'm going to go ahead and jump around. I said we were going to talk Tennessee, Arkansas now. We'll continue down the line. Tennessee goes to, what's that call it? Y'all call it Fayetteville? Is that what y'all call it? Fayetteville? They go to Fayetteville and take a L to Arkansas, and Taylor Green cooked them boys. 266 yards passing, and then he got hurt. He gets hurt, comes out the game. Backup quarterback's able to keep the ball rolling. And they close out and win 19-14. Tennessee's offense could not get going. Nico Yamaleava only had 158 yards. Sampson rushed for 138, so the run game was still effective. If you look at the numbers, effective-wise, the run game was still there, right? But Arkansas outgained them 431-332. And if you see anybody on Sooner Twitter, right, they're all talking about, if we had a competent quarterback, we could have possibly won that game. And I 100% agree with that, right? Like, you don't get 2 turnovers in enemy territory and give it right back and expect to win the game. But if you get those 2 turnovers and you convert those into some sort of points, you're cooking with grease. You got a really good chance to win that game. And we talked about that in the morning after recap. We just need a pulse on offense, and we didn't have that. Well, I think we got a really good pulse now on offense, and all they're doing is building week over week. So we missed our opportunity, but Arkansas did not. They seized theirs. They seized theirs against a young Tennessee squad on the offensive side that I told y'all will probably see some struggles early, but will be dangerous once the season goes on. Nico needed this, right? And this is not to advocate for Tennessee, even though y'all know that that's like the other team that's got my heart in the SEC, actually the only other team that I actually like in college football in general. Besides my Sooners, Nico needed that. Now we're going to see how Josh Heupel and them grow from there. And so I think Tennessee's still going to be dangerous, but man, Arkansas pulling that out. Dude, Arkansas is 4-2, and they could be 6-0 if they didn't screw up themselves, right? But that's the thing about it. You're going to see self-inflicting wounds throughout this entire conference, because then you go into the next game. Our next item up for bid is Missouri getting blasted by Texas A&M. Look, 41-10 does not do this game justice. I don't care what nobody say. It was 24-0 at the half. Right? At one point, it was 34-0. Then Theo Weiss finally got himself a score. He got out of the blanket, which helped him 59-yard touchdown. But, hey, man, Missouri got just smashed on the road. And look, I told y'all this, like I said, on the Bleacher Report show, our prediction roundtable. I said, look, A&M's a 2.5 point favorite in this game. This makes 0 sense for A&M to be a 2.5 point favorite, even though they're at home. Missouri's number 9 in the country. There's a reason why they're ranked so high. Why are they ranked so high? And why is this a situation where they go on the road and they're still a dog? Like, there's no reason for Missouri to be a dog in this game, and that told me exactly what was going to happen. A&M was going to smash their throat in, and they did. They put their knee on their chest, and they just kept pushing harder and harder until Missouri just couldn't do nothing. Like, this is bad. This is a terrible loss. And the worst part for him is that Marcel Reed didn't even play. It was Connor Weigman. And we've been having questions. Look, I asked the question, why did y'all try to make me believe in Weigman? Now I need to go ahead and retract that, because at this point, look at this. It's crazy to me that A&M was able to go out there and just manhandle. They beat them boys up. And Missouri, on both sides of the ball, in the trenches, was getting punked. Just saying. They was getting punked. And all of y'all Sooner fans would point that out. And then you wrap it up for the weekend in a game that mattered, man. To me, the fact that Auburn gave up 31 against Georgia. Georgia really couldn't get going, but Georgia had that dub, right? Georgia got that, lost that game against Bama, but then pulls this dub out. Hey, Auburn losing this game the way they did, they didn't get blown out. Like, I thought this was going to be, I mean, the score itself, it was 14-3 at the half, right? Yeah, I get it. 21-10 at one point, right? Sounds familiar score, right? I thought that Georgia was going to just destroy those boys. But then I also said that I felt like Auburn would cover this spread as well, because after that letdown that Georgia gave us, the big comeback they did against Bama, right? They got this big comeback in the second half, kept it a game, but then gave up immediately the lead right after they got it. They do a big play. Bama do a big play. Then they give up the lead. I was like, man, I don't think Georgia's going to be up for this game, even at the crib. I think they're going to win the game. They're probably going to handle most of it. But statistically, man, Auburn put up 337 yards, 200 in passing, and 137 on the ground. They put 137 yards on the ground against Georgia. I am now intrigued to see what this Georgia-Texas game is going to look like in 2 weeks. And I'm telling y'all now, Texas has got the big game this weekend against us. There's a very good opportunity at the crib to have a letdown against Georgia, because Georgia, for all intents and purposes, Georgia's hosting Mississippi State. That's a tune-up game for them. Now, that's also a lookover game for Georgia. That's the perfect lookover game where they just ignore Mississippi State. Mississippi State goes in there with more urgency, and it's a lot closer than it should be. And then they travel to Texas, because they're going to look over Mississippi State. They're going to be prepping for Texas. You got to. It's on the road, right? And everybody's hyping Texas up, but we don't know what they're going to be. I'm just telling y'all this. Something to keep your eyes out for. Then, of course, wrapping it up, Ole Miss cooked South Carolina. Feels like South Carolina is exactly who we thought they were. Ole Miss, after a loss with a good bounce back, now they put themselves back in the top 10. Florida beats UCF. We don't play Florida this year, but my point behind all of this is this changes some things, right? Missouri's not going to be probably as highly ranked coming up against us now. That could hurt some of us, because the conversation has been is that Oklahoma could win 8 games and possibly make the playoffs because of how tough our schedule is. Now these teams are going to start falling more and more, and there's a good possibility that our schedule is a lot easier than it should have been. Now we just got to win. If we win out, just saying. I'm not saying we are, but I'm saying if we win enough games in this, we're still going to be in conversation. But I think now we may not be as far up as we thought we were. Just because all these teams losing, in which there's going to be more losses, could really hurt the push. Ole Miss, Texas, Alabama, LSU, right? There's a chance. There's a world out there where some of these W's might not be as good for us. Even though at the time they may not be as good. But tell me what y'all think. Hop in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. How did y'all enjoy this past weekend's games? Did they give you everything you was looking for? Let me know what y'all thought. Made it this far, like the content, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'd love for y'all to join this family of Sooner fans talking OU football, SEC, and college football in general. And we're having a blast doing it. All right. Got another video coming out later. We'll go live, of course, because we're going to talk about these games. We'll talk about the bye week, talk about bye week news, things that may have happened. Shout out to BetUS for powering this video. They're hooking up the gamer, 150% bonus, up to $2,000 on your first deposit by using our promo code YouTube150. We will chop it up with every single one of y'all later on. Peace.